This is the Chamber Chat Podcast, the show dedicated to chamber professionals to spark ideas and to get actionable tips and strategies to better serve your members and community. Hello, Chamber Champions. Welcome to Chamber Chat Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Burton, and it's my goal here on the podcast to introduce you to people and ideas to better help you serve your chamber members and your community. Our title sponsor for this episode is Bringing Local Back. Remember when your community could turn to a local TV station or newspaper for the latest updates and affordable ads? Those days may be fading, but the need for local connection remains. That's why we created Bringing Local Back, a game-changing platform that restores local visibility and advertising power to your community. It's more than just tech. It's about driving engagement and creating new revenue for your chamber. Ready to see the future? Visit bringinglocalback.com to schedule your demo today. This is the future of local commerce. You're joining us for a special episode in our 2025 ACCE Chamber of the Year Finalist Series. And our guest for this episode is Sandra Wilson, the President and CEO of the Paducah Area Chamber of Commerce, representing them as a Chamber of the Year finalist. But Sandra, she joined the Paducah Area Chamber as the President and CEO in 2013 after a 26-year tenure at New Page Paper Mill as a public affairs manager. With a strong background in community relations, government affairs, and employee relations, she has served on various local and statewide boards, including as the first woman to chair both the Paducah Area Chamber of Commerce and the Greater Paducah Economic Development Board. Sandra has also contributed to the Kentucky Manufacturers Association and Leadership Kentucky, among others. Under her leadership, the Paducah Chamber was named Chamber of the Year in 2017 by ACCE and was a finalist in 2024 as well. They also hold a 5-star accreditation from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. She's an IOM certified professional and continues to advocate for leadership programs in Kentucky. Sandra, I wanted to first congratulate you and your team as being selected as a Chamber of the Year finalist again. What an accomplishment. But I wanted to give you an opportunity to say hello to all the listeners and to share something interesting about yourself so we can all get to know you a little better.
Well, great. Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate this opportunity to be on the show. And thank you for what you do for chamber professionals by hosting this podcast. Our chamber is very excited to be a finalist for Chamber of the Year. And we look forward to seeing everyone in Philadelphia. As far as me, I've been in the chamber world for 12 years now with the Paducah Area Chamber of Commerce, but it's really been in my blood for a very long time. And the very beginning of my career, I did a short stint at the chamber in an administrative type role, and then left for a different position in the community and came back to it eventually. But I've always been involved with the chamber. The Paducah Chamber, very much so. Before I was chairman of the board, I served in many vice chair roles. And so then when this position came open in 2013, it was just like, oh my goodness, this is perfect timing. I could see a difference in the way the paper industry was doing. Even though I loved where I was and with the company, I just thought this was a great opportunity. So I've loved what a chamber does for many, many years.
Yeah, that's great. And I think we may have talked about it before, but my background is in chamber publishing. So with paper and you see those trends kind of moving, but I think unless you have a very specific niche, paper industry is very tough these days.
It is.
Well, tell us a little bit about the Paducah Area Chamber to set the stage for our discussion. As a Chamber of the Year finalist, of course, we want to know about the size of the chamber, staff, budget, scope of work you're involved with to kind of set the stage for our discussion today.
Okay, great. Well, the Paducah Area Chamber of Commerce has been around. I think we're approaching about 80 years. We have a membership about 950 right now. We'll have a membership campaign in August and push back up to 1,000. But right now we're around 950. We have 6 employees. We added a 6th employee last year to be the executive director of our leadership center. So that is one of the synopsis that we'll be talking about, I guess, later in the show. But we are also mostly known for our advocacy efforts for the region. We are a regional chamber, but we are very local as well. I guess I'd say that by being known as the Paducah Area Chamber of Commerce. We focus on a lot of what traditional chambers focus on: small business, workforce development, pressing issues in the community. We established our leadership center a few years ago and then really amped it up last year to hire the full-time executive director and rebrand a lot of our programs and begin working with workforce and training. So that has been a big focus for us. The other big focus for us this year in the last year and a half, has been a grant that we received from the Department of Energy to lead the study of the reindustrialization of our closed now Department of Energy site, the Paducah Gaseous Diffusion Plant. So it really has been very time consuming for both of those programs, but very exciting for new opportunities. Our small business focus has really increased in the last couple of years when we started a small business cohort, and a small business focus at our big chamber breakfast every month. And we have one every month, but in May, we always do small business. So just this year, I'll have to share this story because it's really very touching. We have a youth lead program, which is for high school juniors. So this year, we focused one of our youth lead graduates that's about 3 or 4 years ago. He's now in college. He started a business. When he started his business, one of the first things he did, because we had a close relationship with him when he was in our youth program, is he joined the chamber.
Yes.
And we focused his business and him in a panel with 3 other small business owners of all ages. And I will tell you, at the end of that program, people were lined up to talk to him about his business and find out more about it. So, we always talk about with the chamber the importance of connecting the dots so that people that aren't in the trenches with you every day know the importance and the reason why they should be supporting the Paducah Chamber or a chamber in general. And boy, when you can get someone that's a high school junior to see the value of the chamber, and he continues that through his first business, and he has plenty of plans for second and third businesses. It just makes it so worthwhile. So those are some examples of the Paducah Chamber. We are 5-star accredited by the U.S. Chamber. We have been a Chamber of the Year winner and a finalist, and just really look forward to being back in Philadelphia and seeing everyone this fall.
That is
awesome.
I
would say. I should say in July.
In July. What a great story with the high school student comes back as a college student with the business, and hopefully you guys can capture some short form video, that you can push out there and really promote that program and tell the story. Right. My mind's going as you shared the snippet of that story of how that can really be leveraged for that program in the future. But that's, helping to connect the dots. But what a great story. So we'll spend the majority of our conversation on today's episode talking about the 2 program synopsis that were submitted on your Chamber of the Year application. You had mentioned the Innovate West Kentucky, which is the kind of the revamping of this power plant, and also the Leadership Center. But we'll dive in deeper on both of these 2 programs as soon as I get back from this quick break.
Hi, I'm Joe.
And I'm Rose.
And we're the founders of At My Community, a mobile app that can be customized to meet the unique needs of your Chamber of Commerce.
When we started At My Community, we envisioned a tool that would help communities thrive by simplifying communication and enhancing engagement. Chambers of Commerce face unique challenges, and we're here to help you tackle them.
At My Community helps the Evergreen Area Chamber of Commerce to create an app that keeps tourists informed even when their office is closed. They provide 24/7 access to local business information, which helps support the local economy and community engagement.
In Rocky Mountain House, we helped the Rocky Chamber create an app with dynamic itineraries and digital resources for tourists, increasing local business engagement. The app has become an essential tool for the community, promoting events and boosting visibility for local merchants.
Today, we empower more than 200 chambers of commerce, campgrounds, and RV resorts to streamline communication, informing members about events, sharing business updates, and providing a digital hub for the community, all in one convenient app.
When you partner with At My Community, our team works closely with you to create an app that meets your chamber's unique needs. As your community grows, our app evolves with you. We are here to ensure you engage effectively with your members and streamline your operations.
Schedule a demo today at atmycommunity.com.
We can't wait to meet you.
Are you ready to take your organization's funding to the next level? Hi, I'm Clint Neesmith, CEO of Resource Development Group. As a Chamber of Commerce or economic development organization leader, I know you understand the value of working with experts who understand your world. And that's exactly what RDG does best. For over 30 years, RDG has specialized in fundraising for EDOs and chambers. We bring cutting-edge strategies tailored to your organization, whether you're just starting out or gearing up for yet another new funding cycle. Importantly, our firm executives are hands-on from start to finish, from the feasibility study to the successful conclusion of your fundraising campaign, and our team brings deep industry roots and national expertise to every engagement. No matter the size of your community, RDG delivers data-driven, innovative revenue solutions, reinforcing ROI to investors and making sure your vision becomes reality. At RDG, we proudly build organizations that build communities. Visit us today at rdgfundraising.com and let us partner with you, building a stronger future for your organization and the community you are working to grow and develop.
All right, Sandra, we're back. So before the break, we'd mentioned that we're focusing on the two programs that were submitted on your Chamber of the Year application. Do you have a preference on which program you want to cover first?
Oh, it doesn't matter. I'd be happy to talk about both of them. They're both exciting. So let's start with the Leadership Center.
That's perfect.
So we saw the need, because we were doing a lot of different programs in leadership training. Our Finalist-Paducah, we just graduated class 38 and selected class 39, and they have an active alumni association. We have had a lot of programs that were connected to some way to leadership. With our youth lead, as I mentioned, we administer Leadership West Kentucky, which is a regional leadership program. We do educator externships for our teachers, intern programs, and have a really active Paducah Young Professional program. So we wanted to bring all of those under one branding. But we also were seeing the need in our community for additional training opportunities. And we are now partnering with our community college, but we have a lot on our own that we're offering to all of our companies. So we hired an executive director for the Leadership Center last May, and he has been really out working with local companies to find out what type of program that they need. His two most popular ones right now are supervisory excellence, to help people that are just going into a supervisor position. Maybe, you're great in one doing your job, so you get promoted to be over everyone doing the same kind of job, but you've never had any training in how to be a supervisor. That's one of his most popular programs, as well as communications excellence, just bringing teams together to help better understand communication skills and communication styles, and that how those really make a difference in being a successful team, which ultimately helps you to be a successful business. So those are his two most popular ones, but we have a whole listing of training programs, and he will said with our community college to work with them on some of the training programs that they have. We hope and really feel like we're getting close to the point where we're going to need to either have some contract employees working with him, or possibly even bring in some other, maybe another employee. That would be our goal, would be to grow it where we would have even more employees. But for now, we're looking at how we could hire contract employees to assist with him.
So
I think it's at the scale of all of our current programs that are under the branding of the Leadership Center. We really wanted to just see how they need to be improved.
Yeah. I love that. Kind of the full scope of everything, leadership that's under that umbrella. I love these programs with the supervisor excellence and the communications excellence. So is there an application process for employees to be accepted in this? Is it ongoing all the time? Is it uh, who facilitates it? These are all questions that are coming to my mind. So what's that format look like?
It's really a mixture. So we have some of the training programs here at our building. We have a large meeting room that we can do that. We actually have 3 different size meeting rooms that we can facilitate that training in. So those are open to anyone, if they're held here, anyone that the company will help support them to attend. He also goes to the companies and does training there. So that's been, we really want to do more of that, even if we can. So because that helps a team at a company to know better what they're all learning at the same time. If 2 employees are coming to one and, here, well, and I will tell you, that is our best word of mouth training is if 1 or 2 employees come from a company here, participate in the training, then we get emails from them about how they've gone back and they've told their HR professionals about the training and how awesome it was and how they see it would work for their company. Then Frake reaches out to them and has begun scheduling training at those companies. So it's a mixture of both on site at the company and here open to anyone.
Okay. What about the curriculum for these training programs? Is that something you guys are creating in-house at the chamber? Is that something you're sourcing from somewhere? How does one, for those listening, they're like, hey, we need to do something like this at our chamber. How do you come up with that curriculum that you're training upon?
It's a mixture, really. One thing that made Frank Bennett is executive director of our leadership center such a good fit for that position is he had a lot of certifications. He had written a book on leadership. It was in the process of writing his 2nd book on leadership. He's written a lot of articles. He had been the director of a nonprofit organization here, our National Quilt Museum, for many years. So he had all of those credentials. If they need something created, he has the resources to reach out to find more information to help create that, whatever they might need.
Yeah, I love that. It's great when you've got somebody in the community that has all those strengths that you can pull from and really leverage, what the chamber has to offer. Is there anything else around the Leadership Center, the programs that are offered there that you want to make sure we highlight before we move to the other program?
I would just say one of the reasons why also that we formed the Leadership Center, it was based on a study that had been conducted by a professor at a local university about our community was lacking in this area. And so after we started looking at that and reading their research and studying it, it just became really apparent that this was something that was needed in our community. And why wouldn't we be the ones to be the leader in it? We had the established programs that were already very, very successful. And we were already doing Leadership-Paducah, already leading Leadership West Kentucky, already had our established youth lead program. So those were things that helped us to really build to the next level because we had the reputation of delivering great results. We needed to take it to the next level to expand that to companies that, Leadership-Paducah, for example, a company's going to send 1 person every year. Right. This is a much more accelerated type program to help them to get to where they want to be.
Yeah. And I would imagine that the companies that participate and send employees for these trainings, if there were a way to extract metrics from it, I would imagine that you would see, higher employee satisfaction and even retention over time by having, these people in management trained in how to manage and how to communicate and how to do these things. It would eliminate a lot of the frustration that people have in the workforce. So,
sure. And we use it to our advantage with our economic development organization, Greater Paducah Economic Development. We hope that they do that. These programs are available. If you locate your company in our community, these are some great programs that can help you to train your employees to be more successful.
Yeah, I love that. Well, let's shift gears over to Innovate West Kentucky. Tell us what that program is all about, where the impetus, where that started and how it's progressed to where it is today.
Well, if you're in the chamber world, you can appreciate this. The week before I started in this position, our largest employer, the Paducah Gaseous Diffusion Plant, which had been here for about 60, 70 years, announced that they were ceasing production. Now, they weren't leaving the community because they have this huge Department of Energy site. Well, it's about 3,600 acres. And they had been enriching uranium for, all those years. But at that point, the country was making some, decisions, and they were no longer going to be in production. So we had to shift our thinking on how that would be. So that was, at the very beginning of when this was all happening. They stayed in operation for another year, and then in 2014 changed from being full-time production and part of the Department of Energy Environmental Management. So it was just based on cleanup. So we had to adjust our thinking, and we, started working with the Department of Energy to build a very close relationship. Our role at that time was simply with advocacy. We were going to the Department of Energy, working for more funding, for longer term contracts. We got very involved in a national organization called Energy Communities Alliance. So then we started seeing what other DOE sites who had already ceased operation were doing. And they were reindustrializing, having reindustrialization at their sites with bringing in new companies and new operations. We weren't to that point. So we applied for a grant from the Department of Energy to lead the reindustrialization study. It was probably, pretty unique in a way, because we're not the economic development organization, full time. We have that. We're in the same building and share a lot of the same resources with them and have a great partnership. However, we knew our community was needing that study. And we also knew, based on a University of Kentucky study, that reindustrialization is what people in our community wanted. So we took that, we made an application to the Department of Energy, and we were awarded a grant. And that was in late 2023. And we were able to hire a local firm who partnered with another company out of Knoxville, Tennessee, who had been doing reindustrialization studies at the other Department of Energy sites. So we were awarded that grant. We came up with we had the whole plan, what we were going to do. We were going to study, first of all, we were going to request land that's at the site to be transferred back to the ownership of the community so that we could do more economic development with it. It would be like a new economic development park for us around the outside of the active cleanup process going on at the DOE site. And then we needed to determine what the infrastructure needs would be for companies that might want to come here. We've looked at the workforce, and that was the one part of our grant that was for now and for the future. We wanted to look at what the workforce needs are at that site, because it is one of our very top 3 to 4 employers in our community, and what their workforce needs are going to be, how many employees they're going to be needing over the years. And then finally, the biggest part was, site strategy, and then finally, economic development. So we've been working with our economic development organization. We're working with them on their website to add a whole new portion about all of this land that's available. We are working very closely with the Department of Energy on companies that would be interested in coming to Paducah. And we have a lot of interest. I will tell you, in the last 3 months, things have really changed at our site. It's the need for energy in the country now is definitely at the top of mind for everyone, because we're going to run out of energy if we don't do something to create more through new companies that could be located. Artificial intelligence is another big topic. Department of Energy put out an RFI proposal for AI companies that would be interested in locating in one of the 6, or locating at a Department of Energy site. And we were one of 16 listed in that. So all of this has really come together. It's been exciting. It's changed since when we started our study to where we are today. And, if you're in the chamber world, you got to pivot all the time. And boy, we have done some big time pivoting in the last couple of months. And it's just really exciting. And I know it's going to provide a great future for our community. So that's the part I think that for us, that is so exciting, that we know we're going to be delivering results for our community, that's going to be producing new jobs, new career opportunities, new companies that are coming here. And I firmly believe if we had not started the reindustrialization study, our community would not be top of mind for the Department of Energy to help promote. I've had the opportunity to speak at several national conferences about it and about Paducah. And when you're sitting there in the audience and you hear the Department of Energy talking about the growth of Paducah and the focus on Paducah, Kentucky site, you're like, yes, thank you so much. We are getting our word out that we're open for business and just have a really exciting future ahead of us.
Yeah. So what are some of the timelines look like? You had mentioned the cleanup phases. I know that the land transfer would be kind of outside of the area that needs to be cleaned up, but that I think that's still kind of a factor going on in the community. So what does that timeline look like? And then what would the timeline look like to when you could realistically have, businesses relocating and opening up on this land?
Well, we already have one, Global Laser Enrichment. They have been actually studying the site for many years, but that one was not part of our study, but we have, I guess, connected with them a lot and are helping them now as much as we can with all the work that they have to do to get ready for locating here. They've already purchased land and have done some announcement of their intent to locate in Paducah. There are multiple other companies right now looking at the site. I hope one announces before we're in Philadelphia in July. I don't know that will happen because a lot of the work that we've done is very confidential. And if you work in the economic development world, you know that it's super confidential until the very end and when you make the big final announcement. But things are moving so quickly now in the world. And with energy needs, with AI needs, with all of that, it's moving at a fast pace, much quicker than we thought it would be.
Yeah, which is great to see things coming together and to be ahead of schedule, so to speak. But I can imagine that the acceleration just adds that much more work. And and you mentioned the pivoting, right? The constant pivoting to make sure things are ready and make sure that you're able to welcome these new businesses to the community. So, but how exciting.
Yeah, it is. And, ACCE's Horizon Initiative 2035, Catalytic Leader was one of them, and being an instigator of change. And that's what we really base this on. We saw the need, and it wasn't necessarily something that we knew we had the expertise in, but we had the knowledge to find the right people to help us. And so we really feel like we have been a super instigator of change and the mindset of our facility here.
Yeah. Way to take the lead. It's awesome. A chamber being what a chamber is meant to be. I love it. Sandra, I wanted to ask for those listening who are interested in taking their chamber up to the next level, what kind of tip or action item might you share with them towards accomplishing that goal?
I would say for the chamber as an organization, really look at the Horizon 2035 initiatives. They can inspire you. And if you just look at those, look at how that they could apply to you and your organization. And beyond that, look around to what the needs are in your community, because we all have unique needs, right? We don't all have the same. We have some of the same, I would say. We probably all need housing. We probably all need more childcare. They're probably,
Workforce,
we're all going to need more energy. Those are things that we're all going to have. But what is something that's unique to your community that you feel like you can be passionate about? I never would have dreamed I'd be speaking about energy. I kind of compare it to, I don't really need to know how my car operates. I just want to make sure when I get in it, it starts. And it's the same with this. I don't really need to, I don't have to know how you enrich uranium or how you would do this. But I do know that we have land that's available that we should be capitalizing on and utilizing it. And we weren't. And it was time for us to open our doors in our community for that to be a really active park. And so look for that. And personally, for chamber professionals, it's really important to find a mentor. And if it may be someone in your own state that's has a chamber about your size that you can compare notes with, or one that's larger that you can scale to your own chamber. And you know the saying about ripping R&D for chambers.
Yeah.
It's great. I feel very honored if someone does a program that we've done. And we look at what other chambers are doing and scale them to us. So find a mentor that when you're having a really bad day that you can call and look to for support and talk to them about your opportunities and challenges. And then on days that you want to celebrate, you can call them and
Right.
they know why you want to celebrate that. And it's just really important to have those relationships and those mentoring
Absolutely.
relationships.
Yeah. And that's why the show exists, is for that rip off and duplicate R&D research, but
Right.
also building those relationships. So hopefully somebody's listening now that's hearing what Sandra's saying and says, I need to share some struggles with her and some wins, in the future as those things come together, or anybody else that's on the show for that matter. So you made an interesting point about not necessarily feeling like you need to know how your car works, right? You just get in, you want it to work. But understanding what your community can offer. And the kind of a real life example is, as I was thinking, kind of trying to relate what you were saying. Like I have no idea how the energy grid works, but in just, getting a little exposure to, more and more with, like you talked about the AI, computer or warehouses, that process all this energy. They're going through so much energy. You got Bitcoin miners, you've got electric cars that are plugging into the grid overnight. And what I found out is it's these transformers that are meant to, upscale the energy in a community. They were designed a long time ago, and they were designed to be able to cool at night when energy usage is much less. Well, now our energy uses don't really go down. They might even go up at night when you're turning on TVs, computers, plugging in the electric cars, all the different things. So there's things like that will be reinvented. And as chambers can make those connections with businesses and opportunities and land in their communities to connect the dots, that's where real answers happen. And chambers are perfectly positioned to drive that change.
We should be. I mean, look around. When you turn your lights on, you expect them to work.
Right.
And, when your community is trying to locate new companies there, you want to make sure the power is going to be there for them that they're going to need. And so it's just important that you look overall to what's needed in your community and to address that. And a rural rural communities are very different from large urban communities. And so I just think it's an exciting time for chambers. And that it's important that we do connect those dots so that a local small business owner that owns a retail shop, when they get their dues, just like our young gentleman who's our youth league graduate that's has his own business now, that he knows that we are making this community the great place to live and work and play. And it takes someone doing that. And your Chamber of Commerce is where to do that. So thank you for shows like this. Thank you to ACCE for bringing us all together. I can't wait to be in Philadelphia because I'm sure I'm going to come back with a lot of information. I always do. I always think, we need to start that. And, one of the ideas that we came back with last year was right before our big membership and total resource campaign. And we, had some rooms in our building that we didn't have a sponsor for. So we had a couple of sponsors, but we thought, well, let's see if we can get that. And we did. We found new sponsorships for our building. And so, you're always going to find tidbits of information that will help you, and just look at how you can make it work for your community and for your size chamber.
That's right. I love it. So hopefully you didn't already spoil this answer, but I was going to ask the next question as to how do you see the future of chambers going forward?
I think we have a great future ahead of us. I think you have to be ready to pivot. I mean, you're going to hear that. I would guess you're going to hear that in Philadelphia. Every chamber is so different because every community is so different. We have some of the basic programs that we all do, but just for even housing, it's going to be different on how we would approach that here than what some other communities would. So I think chambers will be more important than ever, but you got to be out there and you got to be selling your relevance and you got to be selling the need all the time. You can't, I think as chambers, we're probably more humble than sometimes we should be because we throw the credit to everyone else when we're in the background leading that. And granted, I understand and hear that, it doesn't matter who gets the credit as long as there's success.
Rising tide, raises all ships, right?
And that's so true.
Yeah.
If you're not focusing on it. However, you don't want the chamber to be left out.
No.
That you were in a key role in that, in delivering it. And I think there are ways that you can make sure that people and businesses and your government leaders all see that and know that. And a lot of it is just really keeping those important relationships and helping to spark those programs in your community.
Yeah, I love that. Well, Sandra, I wanted to give you an opportunity to share any contact information for listeners who may want to reach out and connect with you and maybe learn more about either of these programs or how you guys are doing things in Paducah overall. What would be the best way for them to reach out and connect with you?
Really, there are two ways they can reach out to me at swilson@paducahchamber.org. Or if you forget that, you can just send it to info@paducahchamber.org and it will get to me as well.
That's perfect. We'll get it in the show notes too, so it'll make it easy for people to find it. But Sandra, I appreciate you spending time with us today on Chamber Chat Podcast and really diving into these two programs on your application. You guys are making big, impactful change and movement in the Paducah area region, we'll say. But I wish you and your team best of luck this year as Chamber of the Year.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Look forward to seeing everyone.
If you are a chamber professional, please subscribe to Chamber Chat Podcast in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. When you subscribe to Chamber Chat Podcast, new episodes will show up in your podcast app each week as they are released. If you're finding value in this podcast, please leave us a rating and a review in iTunes. But most importantly, please share Chamber Chat Podcast with your colleagues that are in the industry.